Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Stanley Atkins II, better known as the Canamedic, and welcome to this month's edition of Sow the Land Hemp Farming Webinar presented by Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Sow the Land is our hemp education extension program of Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Our Sow the Land program includes our farmers network. It also includes a plethora of resources as well as monthly webinars and events. If you've been tuning in, you've noticed that we've had a variety of guests each month with a different product, a different brand, and a different brand of education for their viewers. Well, today we have a special brand for you. I met the owners of this brand recently at a conference, and immediately upon meeting them, I knew that it was a brand that we had to bring on the show. Today's guests are from a company known as NanoJuana ATL, and today's guests will be owners and founders Pat Patterson, Kobe Statham's, and Mr. Andre Todd. These gentlemen have formed. Today, they're going to be telling us what is NanoJuana, how did they come to be, and what is nanotechnology. I know we've all seen products on the market from drinks and candies and beverages to creams and salves. Well, today I brought these three brothers on to introduce themselves and the company. But let me give you a little bit of background on them. In 2018, Pat Patterson, a disabled Air Force veteran, and Mr. Nano Dre, a former Metro Atlanta firefighter and EMT, began an ambitious journey to revolutionize the recreational cannabis industry. Using chemical engineering and nano-emulsification technology, they were able to create the cannabis industry's first non-flavored, flat THC-infused drinking water. After perfecting their cannabis-infused creation, they became business partners and established NanoJuana Incorporated, Georgia's first recreational cannabis-infused product brand. Pat and Dre dedicated their research to understand how to infuse products like wine, water, and juice with extract from the cannabis plant. By using cannabinoids that are derived from hemp, specifically CBD, they were able to successfully infuse water with various cannabinoids. After Delta 8 THC emerged, the hemp derived younger brother of Delta 9 THC, Pat and Dre seized the opportunity to use the main cannabinoid in their products. They plan to infuse their product with Delta 8 and THCs that do in states that do not allow for Delta 9 THC, while still using Delta 9 in states that allow legal consumption of marijuana. As true cannabis connoisseurs and lifelong fans of science, Pat and Dre's biggest aspiration is for NanoJuana to become known as the brand most associated with nanotechnology in the cannabis industry. So, welcome, gentlemen, and I thank you so much for joining me on this Saturday. I'm going to start by going around and we're going to let Mr. Kobe Statham's introduce himself and then followed by Dre and Mr. Pat Patterson. So, good afternoon, Kobe, and thanks for joining us.
How you doing, man? So, Kobe Statham's, I'm the project and business development manager for NanoJuana. I kind of got with the team. I want to say towards the middle of research and development. Basically, Pat and Dre, they're close, very close friends of mine. They basically reached out to me, just let me know that they had a company that they were starting and just basically needing like assistance on formulating a couple of things. And their side is more so on the, I'll say, like, of course, the development of formulations. So when they reached out to me, they were more so looking at it from a admin perspective. And I basically told him I'll look at everything, see what all would possibly interest me. And looking at the longevity side of the company, I more so took on the role of being the project and business development manager, not more so of just because of course it's cannabis, but I seen the bigger picture in the company. So that's more so my role. They make sure that within their heads they know exactly what they want to do. They pitch it to me. I make it happen as best as possible, and that's what we got started on my end. Oh, you're on mute.
Work makes the dream work. So, Dre, why don't you give us a brief introduction and a little bit of background? I know we heard it from the bio, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Cool. Of course, I'm Andre. I'm also the second Stanley. Thank you for having us on. Yes, as Kobe stated, I'm one half of the co-founding team here. Pat Patterson is my other 50% owner and co-founder with NanoJuana. I have, I guess, a little bit of background on me. Of course, I was a firefighter with DeKalb County here in Georgia. I was a fire medic, and I retired with 8 years in the county and did about another 12 years with EMS. So after that, I really knew that my passion, of course, was cannabis. I was consuming while, being hired with the fire department, which is, of course, a big no-no. And once those things kind of came in conflict with each other, kind of had a decision to make. I've always grew up around helping people. Public safety has been in my life. My father was the first black firefighter, fire assistant chief of DeKalb County. He was a firefighter from 1985 all the way up until about 2010 with DeKalb County. So he was definitely on my side as far as moving forward with my life goal as far as wanting to be a part of cannabis. So I moved to California. I've been back and forth to California my entire life. But I moved there in 2015 to learn how to grow cannabis. I actually learned how to grow from Mike Tyson's lead grower. Of Tyson Ranch, the lead grower of Tyson Ranch, Kevin. He is my, I guess you would say, my teacher for learning cannabis, how to grow cannabis. And I took that a little bit further and just kept involving myself in the cannabis market. And trying to make sure that people of color have a say-so in the market, especially here in Atlanta. So I moved back here to Atlanta, where me and Pat joined forces together to pretty much make a strong standing for Black people in the cannabis market.
And when you told, thanks for that background. I remember the day we met when you told me about some of your career experiences, and I was just, you saw the lights go off in my eyes, because it's not very often that I meet someone that not only looks like me, but someone that's relatable, especially with my previous career path as a firefighter paramedic. So I salute you, my brother. Welcome. And finally, Mr. Pat Patterson, my fellow veteran brother, tell us a little bit about you and what brought you into this endeavor.
Okay, I'm Pat Patterson, man. Have 50% ownership of NanoJuana. I started out, man, I'm the Air Force vet. I was in the Air Force for about 8 years, and I started having medical issues that ended up just being diagnosed as a form of MS, right, nerve condition. So when I got out on all types of medication and things like that, I started using cannabis. And not making a medical claim or anything like that, but as I started to use cannabis more and more, the episodes of my condition became less and less. So I haven't had an episode in maybe 9 years of the things that I had going on with me. So I became a believer then. And I'm, as Dre is a grower, I'm definitely more on the concentrate science side of things, edibles and beverages. I've been doing beverages for a while. Remember when I met Dre, we were doing certain things with distillate. And I told him, hey, man, I think beverage is going to be the future. I think they're going to be big. At this time, and it may have been 5 years ago, I was like, hey, man, I got these lemonades that we're making out of distillate. You should try them or whatever. And then, he took them. He liked them. And, fast forward, we came up with the idea, hey, man, we should put this in water. We make it water soluble. We can make any beverage. And ever since that thought, I've kind of been obsessed with that. I've done other things after the Air Force. I worked at Lockheed Martin. I work as a regional manager in the DMV area as a 5G installation, crew manager. But cannabis was kind of my thing. I'm fascinated with the cannabinoids, the CBN, CBG, CBD, THC, THCV, THCO, all of those things that's not typical of, your street flower or your street consumer. So when I met Dre, he had the same passion of the science side of cannabis as I did. So we kind of joined forces, found out we both were pretty intelligent brothers, and we got together and did what we said we were going to do, man.
Wow. And for everyone tuning in, this is just an example of how collaborations can help you build success. Putting yourself in the same room with friends, family, coworkers that have a like-minded mindset that also are fascinated and enthused by this plant. There are a lot of people that get into this industry just for money. Like, I'm going to make a product, I'm going to sell it, and we're going to make money. Well, when they don't have a passion behind that product, when things don't go as well or as fast as they thought, many people just kind of scrap it and give up. But the fact that you guys have that passion, I really respect it, and I really commend you for that. So that goes into some of the questions that we're going to have today. Nanotechnology. I know we are familiar with it, but a lot of people who might be watching this or may tune in later and watch this don't know much about nanotechnology. They know about making some oil or traditionally or a tincture, but who'd like to answer this one as far as what is nanotechnology and how does that play a part in making your products?
Nanotechnology. So the best way I would describe it is it's a nanometer. A nanometer is a billionth of a meter, very, very small. So we know that oil and water does not mix. We learned that in grade school. So what we do is we use ultrasonication, nanotechnology, a form of nanotechnology. We use sonication to basically vibrate against the oil particles so hard in water that it breaks them down into nanometers. So it's water soluble. You can't see it in water. It's because the particles are so small. The reason that nanotechnology, that makes a nano-emulsion. When you put water and oil together through sonication, that makes a nano-emulsion. And nano-emulsion is unlike butter, oil, or tincture, as if it's water soluble. It's basically water with cannabis in it. The thing about that that's so beneficial to beverages, not only does it mix in beverages very well, but the bioavailability is exceptional compared to traditional means of consumption. And by bioavailability, I mean, if you were to give someone an edible made from oil or butter, the digestive process you would lose so much of that THC in that process. So let's say you had a 50 milligram edible. If you took a brownie 50 milligrams, traditionally, you're going to end up getting about, 20 milligrams, if that. And people are going to associate that with, I need 50 milligrams to feel the way I want to feel. You do need 50 milligrams of oil to absorb 20 milligrams of THC. But with nanotechnology, the bioavailability is upwards of 90%. So if I give you 50 milligrams of nano-emulsified THC, you're going to get about 48 to 49 milligrams of that. So what we have is we don't have to give you 50 milligrams. I can give you that 20 milligrams that you're feeling anyways. I can give that directly to you. And that's how we're teaching social consumption by way of nanotechnology. It makes it more bioavailable. It breaks the particles down to such a small size that your body can absorb it faster.
And with that speed comes accuracy as well. So when you have the effects hit you within probably about under 10 minutes, you will constantly have the same effect, the same high, the same absorption rate for every single time. So every time, if we give you 10 milligrams, you're going to get 10 milligrams every time. There's no guessing at how many milligrams it hit me, how long it'll take to hit you. We pretty much have that surmised into the packaging, where it explains that it'll hit you in under 15 minutes, and every time will be the exact same potency every single time.
That's some great information, guys. And for everyone watching, what they pretty much said in a nutshell, for anyone who may not understand some of the terminology that they're using, with traditional edibles and things, it takes a little bit, it's not as much available to absorb into your bloodstream. And with the nanotechnology, I think one of the key things that people should know is, like they said, faster absorption, but also accurate titrated doses. We know that in the cannabis industry, we've seen a lot of research projects, especially out of California. And I know one of the surveys, they surveyed over 1,000 products, and 91% of the products that were tested and sent to a third-party independent lab tested less than what the package said for the available amount of THC. Some products actually tested for 0. So thanks a lot, guys. We really appreciate that. I think that's important, especially on the healthcare side, because oftentimes the reason people overconsume is because they're waiting for it to kick in, they don't feel it, and now they're doing it again. And now it all kicks in at one time, and they're, oh my goodness. And I'm a big fan of the nanotechnology because, like you said, especially in the elderly community or the senior community, they can take a nano product as that's kicking in faster. They can then take their product, they'll take an hour to 2 hours to kick in. So once the nano peaks and begins to come down, then their other dose is kind of that maintenance dose. So the nanos to get you there, and then the normal edible or absorption to maintain it. So with your formulation, I see we got some questions. What were some of the pitfalls that you guys started initially when you jumped into this? What were some of the pitfalls that y'all found when trying to create this brand and formulate your own products?
I guess I'll start with this one. So the main I feel that the main obstacle for cannabis beverages is the education. So a lot of people, when they see, especially like was we're trying to encourage social consumption. So we're trying to have you have micro dosing to just lower dosing. Not where everything has to be 100 milligrams, 200 milligrams to incapacitate you. So the biggest thing was to get to people to understand how effective and how much efficacy the nanotechnology actually has. So pretty much in a nutshell, a lot of people see 10 milligrams and they think, oh no, that's not going to get me high. I'm not going to feel anything off 10 milligrams. So we had to educate people on nanotechnology and bioavailability and the effects that it brings and the benefits that it brings. Also, too, the fact of it being in a beverage and people not truly understanding how to properly dose themselves. So people being like we were just talking about, people being afraid of overdosing. Now, granted, the word overdose is I feel should be lightly used when you're talking about cannabis, but it does put you in an uncomfortable feeling, and people don't want to feel uncomfortable. You want to enjoy the feeling that you're getting. So I feel that the biggest obstacle that we had, of course, again, is education. We want to make sure that we inform people, so because the more informed you are, the more confident you are in making the decision, and we want people to feel confident about our products. Our products are lab tested. Our products are constantly re-refined. We constantly do R&D over and over again. We're constantly elevating and re-influencing the product. So we want to make sure that a lot of people, again, understand pretty much what nanotechnology means for them.
Wow, thank you for that. Some great information. And one thing I do want to ask, so with the nanotechnology for consumables, drinks, emulsions, tinctures, oils, things of that nature, what are your thoughts on vape products in the industry, and how can we improve the vape category in regards to product line? I'm sure you guys have seen it at enough shows and conferences, but what are some of your thoughts on how we can improve the vape product category?
If I were going to say anything, man, I would say testing. Testing would be a big thing, right? The certificate of analysis is what, a vape shop or a smoke shop has to have in order to sell a legal product, right? With that being said, all labs are not created equal. We use a lab, ACS, that's in Florida, which has been deemed one of the toughest labs in the country, right? So you can just get a potency test, but that doesn't test for all the different metals and toxins, solvents that can be in the oil itself. And that's the problem with these things. When people were getting sick, it was the process in which it was made. No one ever said it wasn't strong enough. So some labs just testing for potency, and they don't have paperwork to show other things. That's where the pitfalls come in.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I know you guys have go ahead.
I'd like to add a little bit and to, again, education. A lot of people, I'm saying, if we can educate people on what they should be getting, what they should be receiving from their vape cartridge, what it looked like, what the consistency should be, and things of that nature. Education to me is a one of the hugest things and pitfalls in the stigma against certain things in the cannabis community. It will also help eradicate some of these negative connotations from the cannabis community as well, which is, people, again, making some of anything and putting it out there, and the consumer just getting it and grabbing it, saying, oh yeah, this is a vape cartridge, cool, and not truly understanding what they're getting and what they need to look for.
That is so very true. And I see a comment from our team that says quality of vapes varies so much. And that could not be more true. I know at one of the Emerald Cups and Chalice Festival years ago, they had the first vape category years ago when they first even added vapes to made product lines. And in order to win that competition, they had to test your vapes. And I want to say they had about 13 entries, 12 or 13 entries. And I want to say 9 failed. Really, it wasn't to do with the flavor, the terpene profile, the THC levels. It was heavy metals, pesticides, things of nature. And so there was a lot of pushback on those vapes. People were like going on social media, bashing people like, hey, who are you guys to bash our company? You're talking about our extracts. Well, at the end of the day, the issue wasn't even with the cultivated cannabis or the extract. It was the cutting agent that they had used. They were outsourcing it from China. So yes, when you sent your concentrates to the lab that you're going to mix with, everything tested within parameters, but you outsourced the glycol or whatever they were using to cut it. And that's where that came in. So very much so consistency in vapes. And like you said, Pat, not all labs are created equal. You don't know who owns that lab, they have a partnership with. There are companies that buy their own labs to do their own testing, which, we would understand as a conflict of interest. But if there aren't a lot of checks and balances, then sometimes it's hard to hold those companies accountable. One thing I also want to ask is, with your brand, are y'all open to brand and business collaborations with other brands and other companies who may want to potentially get a NanoJuana drink?
Yes, yeah, we are. So at the core of our company, we are a nano emulsion company. Even though we do have beverage lines, we have so many different versatile beverages, we are a nano emulsion company. So we make the water soluble cannabis. So if anyone is looking, to partner with us in those aspects, most definitely, even I guess in some aspects we haven't yet thought about, but we definitely do supply, white label, and also help formulate drink formulations for people. With the water solubility, it can of course go into any other into multiple styles of consumables. It doesn't have to necessarily be a beverage, but anything that has a liquid base in it at all, we can kind of use that.
So for everyone listening, they are open to collaboration, expansion, and this could be your opportunity to work with another brand. I'm constantly telling people that the only way we're going to succeed in this industry is together. It is through cooperative collaborations. Now, I'm not saying you have to have a co-op, but working with like-minded individuals for a common purpose, that's going to be our keys to success. And if you see these 3 brothers right here, this is proof, ladies and gentlemen, that if you put the work in and you believe, you can get the results. Now, in regards to some of your product, without revealing any proprietary formulation or information, do your products have your own intellectual property technology on the products? Or do you guys have your own intellectual property in regards to your product line?
Could you repeat that last part again for me, Stanley?
Yes. So for you guys' formulations and the products that you've developed, did you guys develop your own IP or intellectual property for the products that you've created?
Yes. The emulsion technology, that's ours. And the reason that I like to put emphasis on that, when you nano emulsify cannabis and makes the particle so small, it has an extremely bitter taste. That's the trade-off from using oil distillate versus using the nano emulsion. When you spread those particles out so far over your palate, you absorb it. You feel the bitterness a lot, and that's a challenge that faces a lot of beverages. So us being able to make a water, that's what we're trying to tout, that our nano emulsion is actually clear and flavorless. So we've mastered the flavor, and that part of our formulation is our IP.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that answer. Again, everyone that's listening, they're on it. They've got everything from their IP to their formulations, and they've even got their proprietary blends. So with the expansion of Delta 8 and all the different cannabinoids that we're seeing on the market right now, what is the current appetite for the beverages on the hemp side? So right now, from what you guys are seeing, what is the demand, the market demand for beverages derived from hemp or hemp extracts?
This is kind of my topic. I'll take that one, right? So before I get into the hemp side only, I just want to discuss beverages, right? We're in beverages, and though it may be seen as biased, we carry a strong belief, and statistics kind of support this, that beverages will be the number one way to consume cannabis, right? In the future. So we're not a company that's competing against other cannabis products, vapes or flour or anything like that. We're actually competing against beverages like alcohol, right? We want to replace alcohol. Instead of choosing this beer, choose one of our beverages. It's a social aspect. With that being said, whether it's hemp or cannabis, or marijuana, the aspect of the beverages is a social thing. With the pandemic, the social aspect of passing a joint around to your friends, that was a very social aspect of our culture, and that's pretty much dead now with the virus and everything like that. So you can't really be social with a gummy. You can't really be very social with a vape. You can't be very social with a brownie, but a beverage, that's what we do in America. Someone comes over to the house, I offer you a beverage. You go out to a club, beverage. Celebrate a promotion, you go have a drink. Someone passes away, you're mourning, you have a drink. That's just what we do. The country is set up for bars. So it's the easiest form of social consumption for the cannabis industry. We're not going to go, when we legalize, no matter what, we're not going to go smoke these nightclubs and bars out. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to smoke these restaurants out, but you will be able to have a beverage. Traditional smokers like myself probably can't see that as of right now, but that's when Coca-Cola and Budweiser and these big companies put big money behind beverages, they're going to gear the market towards that. The micro dosing is easier in that. The social aspect of it is what people are used to doing already. So as far as hemp or marijuana, they're buying it because of the social aspect.
Okay, so when producing the beverage, we have another question. As a business model, is it expensive to create beverages or drinkable products? What's like the price point? Is it equitable? Is it feasible in your business model? What's that looking like without giving too much proprietary information? How is that as a business model when creating beverages?
I'll definitely take that. Not official title, but I'm close to probably like the COO. Like I'm definitely, CFO. I'm definitely the financial mind as far as making us stay on target. So just in a nutshell, yes, it's very expensive. Just in a nutshell, we're probably about maybe $200,000, $250,000 in right now, as far as R&D and equipment and just testing, and just a lot of things go wrong. It's really hard to make a stable beverage. Making shelf stability is a very difficult thing to lock down, especially when you have biomatter that is inside of a beverage. Anything that is derived from a plant, anything like that, will go bad. So being able to make things shelf stable, make things again keep their potency, not degrade or anything like that, is a very difficult process to make happen. And the most difficult process that we had was, of course, masking the bitterness, like Pat was saying, for cannabis. So cannabis has a very bitter. That's the taste profile that it registers with our receptors, is that of severe bitterness. So when it's in an oil, it coats your tongue and goes over. It doesn't actually sink into the cells. So you don't really taste it when you have an oil-based beverage. But it also, again, may take you 2 or 3 hours and stay into your system a full 12 hours before you can release the effects. Which is, of course, not what we want. So we want to make sure that you are able to do that, and by doing that is a very expensive and daunting task. We're constantly improving. We're constantly doing the R&D. We're constantly reformulating. So it's a constant uphill battle. As far as pricing is concerned, of course, you have to have certain type of containers to make sure that you don't degrade the THC or the cannabinoids in any way, shape, or form, and that usually costs. The packaging is one of the most expensive parts of it. Of course, so is shipping. When you're talking about shipping a edible or flower, it's very light. It's not as easily packaged, as easily shipped. When you're talking about shipping beverages, it does start to play a role with weight and also with the space that it takes up as well. But yeah, those are it is pretty expensive. It's time ruling. Me and Pat spent 14-hour days for a year and a half every single day straight to get where we are now. So not to try to to dissuade anybody from trying to take on the task, but it was a very taxing, time-consuming, and financially consuming thing.
One thing I'd like to add to Dre's answer is we're not just in the cannabis business, we're now in the beverage business. And that's the biggest difference, man. Like when people are dealing with flour and vapes or brownies and stuff like that, they don't have to consider cold storage. In order for our product to be in a store on a shelf, it has to have a refrigerator in that store. Our product is heavy, so there's the shipping, there's the shelf life issue. So there are the things that don't traditionally, the cannabis product brands don't traditionally have to deal with, and that's where the extra costs come in. The cost will go down as the industry becomes bigger and it becomes a bigger part of the industry. But as I was saying, we're just as much in the beverage industry as we are in the cannabis industry at the moment.
I appreciate that. So for ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, you're non-discriminatory here. Just know that if your angle is to get into the beverage side of the industry or beverages in general, please understand that, yes, even though you've got a plan and a scheme, understand that there will be overhead associated with it, and there will be significant costs associated with it. I was out in California, and we had a water company, the terpene-infused water, non-intoxicating with terpenes, and they had arguably some of the best tasting water with the terpene profile that I had ever had. It was like the equivalent to OG Kush water, like old school OG Kush from like 2007, 2008 OG. And they were telling us like, hey guys, we would love to send you all the water you want. And I was like, well, cool. They're like, Stanley, you're in Georgia. We want to get our water to the MMA fighters. Let us send you a pallet. I'm like, a pallet of water? I'm like, cool. They're like, the only issue is you pay for shipping. And when I started looking up shipping, that's why they didn't have mass distribution, because all of their water was produced in one part of the country, in one state. And in order to do mass distribution, they were going to have to find a way to reflect that cost. And are you going to raise the price? Or are you going to try to manufacture someone else? So it's always an issue when it comes to price point. And I genuinely appreciate your transparency when it comes to that, because a lot of people were like, oh, no, you can just do it. No, I appreciate you guys giving us the truth, because whether you realize it or not, there are people who are watching this as you see the points of contact or coming in. There are people that look up to you guys. There are people that admire you. There are going to be people that reach out to you. And that is why after we met, I really wanted to, make sure that we connected. And I see a question that says, hey, if PepsiCo wanted to buy you guys right now, they come and say, hey guys, we want to take you out to Taco Bell to get one of the new Mexican pizzas that we used to have back in the day. What's your buyout number? Now, I'm not asking for your number, but I'm asking you, how would you guys engage in dialogue for that conversation in regards to being bought out?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool. Well, we'll put it like this. It would take a mighty big number to get us to throw away what we've invested into this. We have put in, again, like I said, years of R&D, years of time, of sleepless nights, of just sweat and tears, literally pulling money from places that we shouldn't. What I'm saying, to make this happen. And again, we wouldn't want to be bought out, and not immediately, of course, just based upon the point of minority involvement. We feel that, especially here in Atlanta. Now we're going nationwide. We have products in multiple states, but we for sure want to be here in Atlanta, just to resonate with the Black community, with the minority community or community of color, so that, what I'm saying, they, like you said, so that people can have someone to look up to. We want to stick our foot in the door and kick it down. So that's pretty much what we want to do. We want to be able to have that segue in, so that we can get into the space and then allow other people to come into the space. We are, always interested in, in hiring people to help us with our tasks, as like brand ambassadors. As far as that's concerned, we teach you about what we do. We teach you about the industry. We teach you about, pretty much, in a sense, what makes our product so special. And so what we want to do is make sure, again, that we have that visual representation of the minority community, for sure. But now, hey, we talking about PepsiCo, so they're a multi-billion-dollar company, so there's always a number.
And Stanley, to add to that answer, we do have like licensing deals, right? So we have licensing deals where we partner with people, and they have licenses and they have facilities, and that's what we're doing in Washington State, and we distribute, as a partnership, but we haven't given up any ownership of the company. And to sell now, or even close to now, you got to think we haven't even went federally legal yet. It's not even really, the market is not even born as of yet, so it would be a little bit premature to even consider such a thing now. So
I appreciate that. And if you saw some of the comments, that was like, always have an exit plan. One of the things that I'm talking with farmers and who've been doing it for a long time, and I tell them, you can't do this until the day you die. Your body's getting older, things change. What is your exit strategy? And our founder, Ms. Roz McCarthy, she's really big on telling people, knowing your brand, but know your value, know your worth, and have an exit plan, have an exit strategy, and have an exit number. I sit down with people all the time, and I'm like, hey, right now, with the valuation of your company, if Vidal Sassoon or L'Oreal came to you tomorrow and say, hey, I want to buy your product, what is your number? And one of the persons said, oh, I want $10 billion. And I'm like, okay, we all have our number. Who am I to tell you what your value is for your company? But right. I want you to have realistic. And they was like, well, I don't ever want to sell it. Build it, brand it, sell it. Yes. Sell it, guys. And right. I see that, you guys, we're talking about beverages, and I've tried quite a few beverages. Again, back to what Kobe stated, Dre stated about the flavor profile. A lot of those drinks taste terrible. That's why I don't like them. I finally had one seltzer water that I thought tasted pretty good. The drinks, they have that bitter, I call it the bite. It's that aftertaste that kind of gets you back here. And most people don't like it, especially in some of the gummies. It can be quite bitter and overpowering. So when it comes to these beverages, aren't all nano beverages alike, or are all nano drinks the same?
No. It comes down to particle size. Like I was saying, 15 to 25 nanometers is going to be a lot more bioavailable than 80 to 100 nanometers, right? Also, the flavor control, the stability, all those things vary by formulation, right? In theory, a person could purchase equipment, throw some cannabis in there and some other ingredients, and make a nano emulsion. That's not the hard part. The hard part is making a good one, right? It's like you can Google how to make a soda, but you can't really make Coca-Cola. You get what I'm saying? All sodas are not the same. All nano beverages are not the same. That flavor, that bite that you're talking about, we've put nano emulsion in water. non-flavored, non-carbonated water, right? It's harder to mask that. Most nano emulsion companies can't put nano emulsions in water, and that's why they haven't done it. They need carbonation, they need flavor, they need sugar to mask that taste. In our cannabis beverage, it's just water and cannabis. That's it.
Making it the healthiest way to consume cannabis.
Right.
Simple.
Just water and weed.
Simple. Water, cannabinoids. And
Right.
as you heard earlier, I don't like to use the term recreational market. We call it the adult use market or adult use programs. In adult use programs, you guys are absolutely right. More and more people, especially what we call canna curious, they want to try things. They want to be a part of the sesh, but not everyone wants to smoke. Many people don't like consuming smoke. They don't like to cough. Some people don't like the smell. They don't like, because once you hit it and you start hitting it, it's in there now. But with the nanotechnology, you can kind of sip it, wait a few minutes. Like you said, give it 15, 20 minutes. See how you feel. Like, you know what? Okay, I think I can take a few more sips versus someone light up some moon rocks and they hit the moon rocks and now they're stuck. I want to make sure that all the viewers and people going to come back and watch this later can get in touch with you. So what is your website? If I could get you to put your website in our chat box, please add your website and let people know how they can get in touch with you. And also your social media for people who are interested. How can they purchase? How can they get in contact with you guys? So if you want to take that, Kobe, you want to take that one?
Just saying.
Kobe, you're on.
Oh, can you hear me now? Or can you hear me now? Oh, yeah. So the website, www.nanojuana.com. I was actually putting this out the chat. Instagram, everybody can follow us on NanoJuana ATL. LinkedIn, Facebook is the same thing, NanoJuana. And I believe that's all the platforms that anybody can reach us at. As far as inquiries for products or anything involving formulations or white labeling, et cetera, I'll put my email in the chat as well too. I seen during the live, everybody was actually putting down their emails. I was trying to save them as fast as possible before they went away, but I'll put mine down as well too, and you can easily get in touch with me with any type of inquiries or endeavors that anybody else needs.
I appreciate that because we're going to have people that are going to want to reach out to you. And if you remember what I talked about the day we met, and was it last Friday at the conference in Cobb County, make sure that you guys have entered into our in-procurement plan. Our in-procurement program, because for those who have storefronts, those who are opening new stores, multi-state operators, I want to make sure that your team in your product line is in our in-procurement plan. So for anyone watching, our in-procurement plan is our minority procurement network. Especially during the pandemic, before the pandemic, there were brands that were reaching out to us and reaching out to our president like, hey, we want to carry more minority-owned brands, but it's hard to find them. There's no Rolodex of for the Black cannabis brands. So what we did was we created our program known as InProcure. It is free to join. And once you go in and sign up for this program, it puts you on our list for vendors. We tell people, make sure you're contract ready because someone's going to reach out. And these products, these programs fall all in line with the framework of minorities for medical marijuana. Because one thing that we are always going to do is we're going to be intentional with our work. We're going to be impactful with our work. And we're always looking to take it to the next level and help the next man up. I know we watch sports and it's always next man up, but sometimes you may need to be the person to reach out. And if your brand is able to do that, it's going to set you guys up for further and more success. So we're nearing the end of our show, and I want to give everybody a 30 seconds to a minute to do a closing on today's episode, your products, and any lasting thoughts that you want our attendees to know. So with that being said, we'll go around.
Say you start where? I'm sorry, you broke up.
Oh, I'll start with Kobe and then Dre, and we'll close out with Pat.
Well, as far as a quick, just wanting to, I know earlier we talked about the awareness of cannabis beverages being one of the newest things, and most likely being one of the top ways of consumption later on down the line. I kind of want everybody to understand that that's a realistic statement. Just like Pat said, no one's going to want to smoke out no clubs or no lounge or anything like that. It's kind of too harmful for younger children, et cetera, et cetera. So when it comes down to consumption later on within, within the market, I do believe I will want everybody to understand the way, sociably consumption as far as low dosage comes, because you don't, like Dre said, you don't want to go into a market to where you're consuming anything that's 100 milligrams, 200 milligrams, et cetera, not getting the full effects of it and feeling a crash that you don't want to feel. So so we can start to rise.
And I guess I'm next. My ending statement would be pretty much that social consumption is the future. I'm pretty sure Pat will reiterate that. That's that's what our brand is about. Our slogan is be healthy, be happy, be social. Be healthy is our water. Be happy is our tea. And be social is our wine. Even though that all our products will be broken down into each one of those segments, we'll have a lot of different products that fit into those categories. We also will have a THCV water coming out that is going to be a replacement and a substitute for caffeine and for energy drinks. So, caffeine, of course, isn't always the best for you as far as crashing is concerned, and neither is energy drinks as far as the high levels of sugar and other chemicals that they put inside of it to try to substitute the effects of energy that cannabis can provide. The THCV, which is a tetrahydrocannabinol variant compound, it will boost your energy, boost your mood, and also suppress appetite. So we're looking to come out with that product here very soon. So you guys, please, stay abreast on what we got going on. We've laid out our contact information. We can give you more information on that if you're looking to do. NanoJuana is all about social consumption. We definitely know that beverages are going to be the future of the cannabis market. Every single form of platform that's out there for social gatherings cater to beverages. Bars cater to beverages, social plays, restaurants cater to beverages. Everywhere caters to beverages. The largest companies and producers of liquids, period, of our beverage companies. So we want to make sure that we're known in the cannabis space as the premier company that will bring you the healthiest, cleanest way to consume cannabis.
And Pat, if you could bring us on home.
Yeah, man. Dre and Kobe kind of jumped on my soapbox a little bit, so I'm definitely going to reiterate social consumption. It's going to be a big push with the education and consumer education about social consumption. We have this stigma, especially with the underground market. We want the strongest, biggest punch for our bang for our buck, right? And we have all those horror stories where I ate a gummy, I ate a brownie, and I was high for 2 days, and it's like, why? Why? Who wants to consume something and feel that way? No one likes it. It's just a good, crazy story, right? Our beverages are made to consume the whole drink. If I sell you a bottle of water, I want you to be able to drink the whole bottle of water and not be passed out. If I sell you one of our 10 milligram drinks, it's made for you to have 4 or 5, like you would have 4 or 5 drinks at a nightclub or at a cookout, right? So the first one's not going to knock you out, but that may be your level. Or you may need 2, or you may need 3, whatever. But if I gave you something 100 milligrams, once you take that ride, you're on that ride. If I gave it to you in 10 milligram doses, you can find your number, someone else can find their number. And we have to start thinking that way. We can't stop associating the quality of the product with the strength of the product. No one goes to a nightclub and orders moonshine or Everclear. People want to enjoy the drink. They order Long Island. They order, cocktails. They want to enjoy the drink. So we're making delicious beverages that you can socially consume. We're making healthy beverages. We have a rosé wine and a Moscato wine that are coming out later this summer. And it's basically we're going at the wine drinker, not the cannabis consumer. Of course, we want the cannabis consumer, but we're going for the wine drinker. But instead of alcohol, use cannabis if you're intoxicant. That way, no headaches, no hangover, no drunk driving. But it's still wine made from grapes from Napa Valley, right? So social consumption, accurate dosing, consumer education. That's what we have to push. So.
All right, and also, Domita, real quick, we have 3 other beverages that are coming out soon. We have, like Pat said, we have our wine list. So we already have a dessert wine. We have a Moscato and not Moscato. We have a
Rosé and Chardonnay.
A rosé and a Chardonnay that will be coming out at the end of the summer. We also have 3 of our 10 milligram drinks that will be following those probably closer to the end of the summer, beginning of fall. That will be a can of punch, will be a fruit punch. We'll have a ginger beer. I'm pretty sure everybody loves ginger beer. It's one of the fastest growing beverages in the market, period. We've infused a beverage, ginger beer, and we also have a blueberry banana beverage as well. So be on the lookout. We should have around 11 to 12 products of different beverages coming towards the end of this coming summer.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I look forward to any and everything that you guys have coming up. And I already know we've discussed it. I see lots of synergy between the work that I do and the work that you do. So I think it's safe to say that we'll see NanoJuana at some of our M for MM dice mixers. And we would love to have you guys as a part of our dice mixer for MJ BizCon coming up at the end of this year. It's my goal, like I told you when I met you, how can I help elevate you and help you guys with your brand? Because the only way we're going to get there is together. So ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, this has been this month's edition of Sow the Land, brought to you by Minorities for Medical Marijuana. And I see the comment, we do have a social brands lookbook. So M4MM actually created a social brand booklet. And it's nothing but minority-owned and social equity-owned companies. And I think we may have a blank page for NanoJuana. Your brand is directly in alignment with the work that we do. And like I told you, I wanted to engage with you from the moment we met, guys. And it's only up from here. I look forward to collaborate with you again. And it looks like we'll be sitting down for lunch sometime pretty soon. So again, thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you for being intentional with your brand. And I heard my favorite word in this industry several times today. So thank you all so much. And that is education, because with proper education, everyone will sell more products. And that is why as the Canamedic, I have my niche, because you can have a room full of products, but there's not the education to the patients or to the consumers on why they could benefit from it. Many of those products are going to sit there. So again, thank you guys. It's been nothing but an honor and a pleasure. So for everyone who's tuned in, thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next week. Be on the lookout for updates for our Sow the Land Hemp Symposium. We are postponing it. We'll be releasing updates to make it bigger and better for you all coming up later this summer. Again, my name is Stanley Atkins II, also known as the Canamedic. It has been a pleasure, and this has been Sow the Land Hemp Farming, brought to you by Minorities for Medical Marijuana.